Hello, welcome to the Peter Repeater episode 30. I went on a little bit of a break to relax and do things I like, and we'll see if I'll go on another break. But it's tough trying to be a constant and regular uploader. You sort of lose the motivation quite often. But I just checked that everything's all working okay, and the link works and everything. Things seem to be working. Everything's up and running. Got the live chat open. Do you know what? Yeah. So I'm fairly happy with with this setup, this YouTubing business. I'm going to try. It's probably not going to work. Something's going to interrupt me, or I'm going to run out of things to say. But I'm really going to try and talk for a significant amount of time. It's tough. Like, I usually give up, or things get cut off and I have nothing to talk about. There was a stage where I did like 4 or 5 days in a row, uploading twice in one day, and then I stopped, and then you get comfortable, and then you don't want to carry on. You stop making videos, and then you just give up, and then what has it been, a week? I've had a week off. Had a week on, week off. All over the place, really. But I've got my cup of tea here, so that will keep me going, so I won't be thirsty, hopefully. So what's going on in the world? Well, I spent a lot of time talking about the pandemic going on at the moment, reading the news. That's pretty boring. And then I spent some time doing some philosophy, just talking about random stuff, and I didn't really do much else. That was interesting, but it's a bit full on. And then, well, let's just talk about stuff I like, and then at least I feel better. So yeah, so there's my book. I wrote a book. I thought I'm gonna write 1,000 words a day for 10 weeks, 70 days. And then that will be, I was looking at the size of other books. Some books were like 59,000 words. Some books were 120,000 words. And I thought I'll get in the middle somewhere, get 90,000 words. And then I reconsidered, maybe that's a bit much, 80,000. And then I thought, no, 70,000, 1,000 words a week. 1,000 words a day for 10 weeks. And I kept on going very consistently, and I did 29 days, and then I just thought, I've had enough. I need to have a break. So I decided to just upload what I had to the Kindle store and call it a book. Sorry about that loud sound. Yeah, that was my cup of tea hit the microphone. But yeah, upload all I had to the Kindle store and call it a book. I make sure to call it a short book. But it's literally like 2 chapters of a big book. Or, it's not too bad. It's but it's good for, this day and age. It's a short read. It's not as if I was writing a storybook and I didn't finish the story or something. It's non-fiction, obviously. It's called An Unbelievable God, and by Peter Newing, and it's on Amazon, and I'm really happy about it. I keep on going on Amazon and seeing the cover, and then the cover of the book, I took the photo myself, so it looks good, and it's got light coming down from the clouds, and it looks like God, and it's very good. And I really enjoyed writing the book because it made me realise that what I really think about God and what I really think about everything else. I'm making a sound here. What I really think about everything related to it all and God and everything, it just made me realise what I really think. And I think that's a good exercise. Just be sorry about this. Yeah, it's a good exercise to find out what you really think, and you can explore the issue, the conundrum that I call it. So there's the Kindle version for 99p, and then there's the paperback version for £5. And if I sold 1 million copies of the Kindle version, I could buy a house. But I'm not necessarily going to sell 1 million copies. So far, I have sold 1 copy. No, 2 copies. Me and my dad, and they're the Kindle versions. And then I've ordered 5 books, paperback books. I got the paperback uploaded, and people are going to read that. Hopefully my brother's going to copy the paperback book because he likes to read books rather than screens. So the first time I read the book, An Unbelievable God, I liked reading it, but I had loads of mistakes. So I thought I'd read it again, second time, and this time I would correct all the mistakes. And then once I corrected all the mistakes, I felt comfortable making a paperback version. But it's so easy, you just upload it to Amazon and they have a look at it and improve it. I don't know if they read much of it, but they have a look and approve it. And then for the Kindle, you can obviously just download it and it's all digital. But for the paperback, they print it out. So you can't get next day delivery because they have to print it out. So it takes 6 days to dispatch it, and I'm waiting even longer for my copy of my own book. But it's great. It's going to have the front cover, which I took the photo of, and I did the Photoshop. It's pretty cool. Got the God in the sky and the foreground of the horizon is in front of the bottom of the letters, so it looks like the God is part of the sky, not just overlaid on top. Bit of Photoshop skills there. I knew what I was doing. Sometimes in Photoshop you don't even think how to do something, but when you think, oh, how do I get that behind that, it's just obvious. You just highlight it, cut through cut layer, copy layer through cut, or whatever it is. Yeah, and then you just pop it behind, and it all looks good. Use that magic wand tool to select the right bit you want, and everything is all good. So that's my book situation, and I got a paperback on the back. It says like the blurb, and then it has my face, Peter Newing, and then people can find me and just understand what I'm all about and read the book, and it's about God. And at the start I'm like, does God exist? Yeah, maybe not. And then I just sort of fall into believing in God and what God means. And then even at the end, I'm not like all God, I still have bits, but some of the bits, aren't the best when I read them, because I'm quite critical of my own work. Yeah, it's not the best when I read them, but Like sometimes I would write something and at the end, but does God exist though? Sort of thing. Just out of the blue. But there's not too much of that. Quite a lot of it's quite good. And then as C.S. Lewis has his metaphor with the line on a paper, and that's our timeline, and God can see God as the whole paper. I've got metaphors for days. One metaphor is we're living a film, but God has already watched the film and he's watching it a second time. So he knows what's going to happen, but he's still going along with us. Watching a film a second time, that's one. Can I think of another one? Oh yeah. So as a person can speak languages, God is the person, and the religions are the languages, and you have lots of different ways of communicating from the same person, and that's still persons that exist, sort of stuff. It says the person is God, language is religion. Is sort of, that was a metaphor. Don't know if I've got any good ones. I sort of compare life to like a football game, and God could be like a manager on the sidelines, you know, helping us out, or God could be the unemployed middle-aged man in a bedsit with a beer. Not sure I wrote that in the book, but unemployed middle-aged man in a bedsit just watching the TV, and we're playing the football and he has no influence over us. Now, something I think is a bit funny is, well, it's not, I don't know if it's funny, but everyone's all equal rights nowadays, empowering different minorities and gender equality and women matter and everything, and people are all about that. But big but here, yeah, not anybody's but just the word but, like otherwise sort of thing. Big but the but in Christianity, all the disciples are men, and God is a man or male. He's called he, and Jesus is a man. And I think the whole equal rights thing is of a lesser thing, but they still try and get it in there. The equal rights, these Christians is just try and, well, you know, this person was female. Isn't that significant? Isn't it significant that all these strong characters in the Bible are female? Is it? God's not female. The disciples aren't female. All the main people in the Bible aren't female. It's a bit sexist, isn't it? It is what it is, really. You can't really change it, and the whole idea of getting equal rights to fit in with the Bible, and I suppose equal rights is, I don't know, just this whole feminism, and God being male, and Jesus being male, and disciples being male, doesn't all quite fit together. You either just accept it, or you try and twist the gender bias in the Bible from being all male to it's all equal. Yeah, not sure about that. So what can I do about it? Don't know. I can watch Friends, potentially. TV show, not my friends. If I can pluralize that, I will. I'll pluralize that term, friends. If you count siblings as friends, plural. If you count people that say we're friends now, plural. If you count actual friend, all in the mix of all those tenuous friends, plural friends. Not saying I've just got one friend, I'm saying I've got lots of friends. Loads, plural, at least 2, beyond 1. In the teens of pluralism. Not teens, not like 13 friends, but I mean, so such a high number, it might as well be in the teens. If you know what I mean. The plural is quite there. So, yeah. Joe Rogan. Listen to him. Do I like him? Yeah, I'd like him. He's good. I wouldn't watch him otherwise. But he's such a... I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but here's a conspiracy theory for you. Like, if this was the case, this is how they do it. Like, this virus is definitely natural, just a random virus. But if it was man-made, it's a good way. It's ridiculous. Wow. Anyway. We're all stuck at home. Was I going to go out the house anyway? At this stage of my life? Where I'm between being a student to being a student? I finished being a student and I'm just waiting to be a student. Not having a gap year. Because one student ended halfway through the year. If I was clever, I could have... Yeah, but then the pandemic would have just interrupted the my year at school, so it's better that I start later. Yeah. So what did Jesus do? It's a tough question. Don't know. You know that you are a diligent Christian when you go for a Bible study, and first of all, they say welcome back, implying you've missed at least a few 2 years. 2 years, right? Welcome back, and then the second of all, you get your Bible covered in dust, head to toe in dust, under a pile of other stuff. I've got 2 Bibles. One's dusty, on top of another Bible that's even dustier, and the only part of the Bible that doesn't have dust on is the bottom, because it's like dust protection, and the smaller Bible imprint on the top. So basically only less than half of the Bible's dusty, but there's a lot of dust. A lot of dust on my Bible. So what have I been doing? If I'm not reading the Bible, if I'm not playing games on YouTube, if I've been slacking, what have I been doing? Podcasts. I've been listening to podcasts. I listened to a 3-hour podcast in a day. A whole day. The podcast gets listened to in a day. It's like watching a 3-hour film every day, but it's a podcast. I love it. May not sound like it, but I do love it. I've listened. Did I? No, I didn't. What I do is I finish a podcast and start a podcast, or I start a podcast and finish a podcast and spread it over a day or 2. So last night I started a podcast after watching a podcast. Like the podcast's only an hour, you've got to start another podcast. So watch now of this Joe Rogan podcast, Tim Dillon, and then I watched another hour this morning, a bit over an hour, and then I've got another 15 minutes to finish off. Probably do that after this podcast, if you can call it that. I think podcast sort of implies that it's... Well, it's not true, because some podcasts are very visual centric and you need to watch it on YouTube. Like Joe Rogan, you listen to it, but I've never listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. I've always watched them on YouTube or listened to them on YouTube, but I haven't been on the old iTunes or something to squeeze the most out of a podcast. If that's what you do. Yeah. So podcasts, just listen to podcasts. Oh, they're talking about all sorts. They're funny. Yeah, just arguing, and they don't always argue, but it's a funny arguing. And apparently Joe Rogan's really rich. Didn't consider that, but I suppose if you're filling out arenas, you make money. Like 18,000 people. It's a lot of people. And then here's me in my humble abode, in my bedroom, starting off my long career as a podcaster. And it's better that I'm back than I'm not back. Only a week break, like, that isn't bad. Like, it's difficult because there are podcasts where no one watches. Difficult. Like, but it's the start of something special. I've gained 1 subscriber in the last month. I lost 2 because they obviously saw what I was up to and thought, nope, not for me. Podcast, nope. And then I got 1 new subscriber. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. I started having go at solving the Rubik's Cube, and like a couple of years ago, I learned how to solve the Rubik's Cube a bit faster. Like doing F2L, first 2 layer method, where you do stuff on your own rather than just slotting things into place. And if I get the F2L sorted out, I could probably shave, not my face, I could shave 10 seconds off my average time. Because it used to be, back in the day where I had an old technique and I got that down to a T, I could solve a Rubik's Cube in 40 seconds consistently. And now I've started, and then I learnt this new technique, and initially I was way slower. It'd take 3 or 4 minutes to solve it, but they'd do this new technique, and sometimes you'd have to really think about it. And then I get faster and faster to the point where I could solve it in like a minute, and then solve it as fast as I used to solve it. And I just started again, and now I'm getting to the stage where I can solve it faster than my beginner method. And we're really at the home stretch now. Like, if I really practiced, I might be able to get clever with it, but you just get more familiar with the moves. And some people learn algorithms for the F2L, but I don't. I just look at it. And you get a feel for it that way. If it's algorithms, you don't know what you're doing. And you can forget them. But because I've got a feel for it, I know how to slot them into place. And essentially what I end up doing is the same as the algorithms. But I just figure out how to slowly building up my repertoire. So the other day I got lucky, solved it in 28 seconds. Or under 29. In 29 seconds. That sounds better when I say 28 seconds. And my previous PB, when I got super lucky with the beginner method, I solved it in 29 seconds. And then I got super lucky with my new method, 28 seconds, got a new PB, and broken the PB for like 5 years, 3 years, I don't know. Time flies. When you start getting older, getting into your 20s, time flies. When you're in primary school, you're not thinking about, 5 years ago I was doing this. Because 5 years ago was basically the whole primary school, basically. So you took year by year, really enjoyed, each year. And it was an achievement to get to the year above. And you weren't thinking about, 10 years ago, I can now, because I'm old now, I can now remember 10 years ago quite vividly. And, 10 years ago, I was in year 7, best year of my life so far. 10 years ago, I was in year 7. I don't know. I might be having the best year of my life right now. Maybe. Starting now, best year of my life. But year 7 is just good year. For reasons that I am I just got the right balance between interesting because there was people at school I liked, and then also I was still a child, so I hadn't hit my teenage misery, and it was just a nice balance. And at the end of it, I got student of the year, student boy of the year, just student of the year out of a cool 120 boys. Obviously, some of them, misbehave and stuff, but out of a good 120 boys and stuff, I was I don't know how you decide student of the year. Like, is it the student we like the most, or I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether it's a student we like the most, probably, or a student who tries the hardest, or who does well at school. It's basically the full package, really. It's the best year of my life. I showed what I was able to do. But I bet if I did that year again, or like if I go back in time and I lived it again, the same, I'd be like, oh, school's so boring. I'd be like, wouldn't be able to cope. It's so boring. What a weekend happened so badly. And then looking back, I'm like, that's the best year of my life. Because there were good parts. That's really what it's about, is having those good parts in between the not so good parts. And the better those good parts are, the better you consider your life to be. And then when people ask me how I am, like, how are you? I don't say, when I was at work, I would always say good, fine, good. And then if I say I'm fine, then that means I'm not fine. Why no? It just means I'm okay. There's good, fine, and then okay. And quite often I'm fine or okay. Well, when am I going to be good? I don't know. I need to look at the camera lens. Anyway, I'm learning. It's just, there's nothing to look at. You want to look at yourself. Maybe I shouldn't have a screen where I can see myself. Oh well. Anyway, so there's a lot to consider. Anyway, second best year of my life, year 8. Third best year of my life, year 9. Just downhill. Peaked in year 7. Primary school was okay, but I still look forward to the weekend. But the parts of it I enjoy. Like, I enjoy playing football at lunchtimes. Can't anymore because of the knee injury, but I can, but I don't, because I don't want to get another knee injury. Such a hassle. Can't fit that into my busy schedule. Listening to my podcasts. Sometimes I probably listen to podcasts a good, when I'm not making podcasts and I'm listening to podcasts, I listen to podcasts for, say if I'm awake, say I'm awake 12 hours in a day, I listen to podcasts 3 hours. What am I doing for the rest of the day? Maybe I listen to podcasts more. There was a time where I made podcasts and I don't know, time just sort of flies by, really. And before I know it, it'll be bedtime and I'll be trying to go to sleep. It's always the flipping case. Anyway, each day that goes by is better because I get closer to having a print copy of my book with my face on the back. Author. Official. It's just the one of the crowning moments of my life is to write a very short book and get it printed. Very, very satisfying. For only £5. I got it for cheaper because I'm the author, but only £5. I was at that stage like, should I just sell it for the cheapest possible, and not make any money? And I thought, well, it's not fair that Amazon making the money. If Amazon make £1 off this book and I'm not making £1, so I thought I'll make £1 off the book, roughly. So it's £5. Getting that price right up there, but then if you really want the paperback, you can just get it for £5. It's not too bad. It's quite good, quite a decent price. Until you realise, it hasn't got any chapters and it's only 63 pages long. But if you think about it, in book terms, it's short. But in just life terms, my book is fairly long. Because at the end of a degree, like a 3-year degree, like English degree, where you're writing essays all the time, at the end of all that, there's a 10,000 word dissertation, and I wrote 29,000 words. So I wrote more than a degree dissertation. It's quite a lot to write. So I can be proud of myself. And then people write 2,000 word essays. There's like big essays that they write, and I wrote 29,000 words. So book terms, short. But in just people writing casually at university, long, 29,000. Master's dissertation is 20,000 words. I wrote 29,000. So it's hard to write, easier to read. Read my book twice and wrote it once. Corrected the mistakes and stuff. So it's a good read. Lots of it's very quotable. I can just imagine, after I'm dead in a couple 100 years' time, Peter Newing said, "Life is not like a piece of paper. It's cardboard, because that's recyclable." That is the kind of wisdom I bring to the table. I know paper is recyclable as well, but if you really think about it, cardboard has a recyclability about it. It feels more satisfying recycling cardboard. You feel like you're saving the earth more. All this cardboard is recycling. This paper, I keep paper, but cardboard, don't keep cardboard. Recycle it. If you know what I mean. You probably don't. So when am I going to rewatch The Big Bang Theory? I'm not going to rewatch the later seasons because they're just not very good. I've got the first 7 seasons, which I think is a sweet spot. And same goes for Game of Thrones. I got the first 5 seasons, which I think is good when it stays good. And Friends, because it's all good, I got 10 seasons. But in realistic terms, I only got the Game of Thrones and Big Bang Theory when they were still airing, so they still had more episodes to show. I've got Blu-ray coming out my ears, and I've got 2 Blu-ray films that I should probably watch, but I'm waiting to read the book for, and that's The One That Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Fight Club, and I've got the books for them on my Kindle, and I should read the books and then watch the films, and then life will be simpler and I can get on and watch the films. I've had these films for a decent let's think 5 years. I thought I'll buy the books and then I'll have the films. And then I haven't watched or read them. I should probably just watch the films. Sometimes when I'm really desperate, I just go ahead and there's that whole conundrum about, do you read a book or do you watch a film? And I would say read the book. Books are better, more entertainment, you get more detail. Then watch a film because it makes you feel satisfied because you read the book. But they ruin each other. Reading the book ruins the film. Watching the film ruins the book. Would you rather read for 10 hours and enjoy that, or watch for 2 hours and enjoy that? And some people don't have time. They just have to go ahead and watch that film because they ain't got time to read the book. And then there's that whole thing of, oh yeah, I read this book. I can't lie to you. I listened to it on Audible. That's the truth to it. Yeah, so got a hello. So yeah, watch the film, read the book, watch the film. And then there's reading books, but people aren't reading the book. They're just listening to it on Audible and thinking that counts, when we all know it doesn't. You can't say you've read a book when you didn't read in any way when you were consuming said book. The book, I love saying said. There's some words that are just normal, but in particular situations they sound fancy. If I said like that, Peter said this to me and he's a right annoying so-and-so, and I just use the word said casually like that, and you'd be like, oh yeah, cool, you're a commoner. But if I said, not like that, but if I chose to utter the words, this book is really good, and it's called 12 Years a Slave, and Roger has read this book. I don't know how to use said really, but you can, if you've already referred to it, you can say said book because it's already been said, and that word said, SAID, just springs to life and becomes a fancy word. And there's other fancy words which are always fancy that I've never learned how to use. Some words you only learn how to use when you've grown up and you're not a child anymore, so you don't just learn it. Learning how to say whom, no idea. Like for me, whom is just when you think you're saying who wrong and you just shove in the whom. Never done it in conversation, never been brave enough. I've got to the stage where I've heard whom enough, WHOM instead of who. If I heard it enough, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But when I say it myself, I'm like, am I just being a pretentious silly Billy? And yeah, I just yeah, it's just whom just doesn't make sense. But I think it's when you've already mentioned someone and you say whom because you've already got a person in there. Peter loves to walk, whom of which is a very nice person. I have this weird thing where I think a swear word, but I don't say it because I think, Wouldn't it be funny if I said that swear word, but I don't say it. I probably should learn how to swear. I think part of it is learning how to, as Joe Rogan puts it, learning how to hang and being able to just like hang out and be friends and socialise. And if you're not used to swearing with your friends, then you've never learned how to swear. But the great thing at my disposal is that because I hardly ever swear, if I ever do choose to swear, the amount of emphasis on my swearing will be significant, because it's such a rarity that I'll really value the swearing, and I could probably get more comedic value out of swearing than the person that doesn't swear. So in my age, I probably need to learn how to swear. That's probably my goal from when I get from 20 to 30. I need to learn how to swear, because there's just sometimes a swear word just really amps up the situation and makes it really funny and worth it. And there's other times that some people swear too much and it gets oversaturated. I don't know if that's the word, but it just becomes obsolete, loses its meaning if you swear too much. But if you swear just right at the moment, comedy gold. So am I going to speak for an hour? No, because I'm getting thirsty. I think this is just a little tried to put my toe in the water really, and just speak for a little bit. So it's a good start to my podcast, and let's see how long I've been on it. Yeah, that's long enough. So I appreciate the watch, appreciate the listen. Thank you for watching. I'll be live soon. Bye for now.